What's going on, everybody? It's your doggy, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Today, we are introducing a brand new version of Growing on You Live with a written, translated interview that I conducted with director Felipe Eluti, talking his absolutely grueling horror movie from 2012, Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness. Kicking off our interview, I asked Felipe, can you tell us about the earliest memory of discovering the horror genre? To which Felipe says, I think I was very young. In Chile, there was an afternoon TV block called Cine en su Casa, which is movies at home. That's where I first saw The Fly, the black and white version, and it definitely marked me. I then asked Felipe about 3 movies that contain scenes that he can never forget. He says RoboCop, Tetsuo the Iron Man, and The Shining. The scene from RoboCop being where the guy falls into the acid tank. Tetsuo, the whole movie fucked me up, he says. From the opening scene of the dude trying to shove the metal rod into his leg to that apocalyptic finale. And then The Shining, the elevator full of blood was brutal. Just gallons of blood rushing at the camera. And that old woman in the bathtub, the rotting body when Jack hugs her. Oh. We continue with where Felipe started inquiring about the filmmaking process. He says, after high school, when you have to decide what to study, at that time, my passions were movies, comics, photography, and music, and I felt like it all came together in film. Then asking about the initial steps becoming involved with film, Felipe says, by studying film. The degree took 4 years, and back then, the final year was about making a movie. I learned a lot shooting shorts with my friends. We then dig into Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness, being his debut film from 2012, now with a cult following. Can you tell us about this whole story and how it came to be? Felipe says, Visceral was born from the idea of making something truly extreme, a film with no morals or censorships, and I dug into my worst imagination that could produce and started writing. I then asked if it was always the initial plan, to write, star in, and direct the film. Felipe says, the plan was to write and direct. But as the script progressed, I thought, shit, no one's going to want to star in this. So I decided to act in it myself, which if you've seen Visceral, you absolutely can understand. In acting, writing, and directing, what was the most difficult part of the process working on Visceral? Felipe says, the creative process is always hard, but I remember the passion back then. I was finishing film school and had supportive friends. Cristobal Rivera was crucial. He handled production and sound design. Thomas Smith was another pillar. He did cinematography and operated the camera. We continue of the credible and borderline intolerable brutality of Visceral, and what Felipe can tell us about the barbaric sequences in Visceral. Felipe says, like I said earlier, I pulled from the darkest corners of my imagination, the worst of the worst, the feeling I got from death metal, noise, etc. But on set, the vibe was calm, which is insane. We prioritized everyone's comfort, even though what's on screen is violent and brutal. In reality, those were good times. If you've seen Visceral, you know why I'm laughing. From writing the script to seeing the final film, what do you consider the harshest scene of the movie? And Felipe says the most infamous one for me is the eye scene. And I should note, we shot it years before a Serbian film came out. That scene. I then asked Felipe if he had kept anything from the Visceral shoot. And he says, I kept the hammer, a whip, a few effects props, and some clothes that I never wore again. In closing, I thank Felipe for his time, for being a part of this interview, and I asked, can you tell us if you are working on anything right now or if you have anything coming up? Felipe says, right now I'm seeking distribution for my second film, Eros Thanatos. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll have it written down in the body of this interview. It took me years to make another movie, but it's done. So expect brand new horror, I'm sure some sort of madness from Felipe Eluti. You guys take care. Thank you so much for the time. It's your dog, the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. Be sure to check out Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness. If you have not, don't eat dinner before it. Don't have a bunch of drinks. It's gonna make you sick, I promise. You guys take care. Bye-bye.